Did you know that every one of us, and I mean every one, from poets to prime ministers, from primary school teachers to porn stars, spent about half an hour as nothing more than a single cell? In a way, I've always thought it was a shame that things had to get more complicated. But then, I'm a man of simple pleasures and even simpler beliefs. I know a lot of people say that, and what they really mean is that they don't like opera or thinking too hard. But in my case, it's true. My name is Peter. Growing up, I met a girl called Evelyn, and the years we spent as friends were the best years of my life. I remember the sound of Evelyn's voice, so willing to extract the miraculous from the mundane. Did you know that a cloud can weigh as much as a blue whale, she'd say? And everyone would laugh. Okay, they'd reply, so why doesn't it fall down? And she'd just pause, her eyes flashing with the joy of the answer. Oh, it will, she'd say finally. You just have to wait long enough. She never warned us, never warned me, what would happen if you waited too long. I do wonder now, as I tell you all of this, if you are wary of the weight of an old man's memories. Perhaps you would be right to be. But bear with me. When Evelyn was 17, her parents divorced, and she was alone. My parents had not, and I felt normal enough, together enough, for us both. It all seemed so simple then, as things do when you are young, and the world has yet to show its true face. When friendship has a far more natural and permanent state than it is fated to become. I had a young man's eyes then. I thought I was looking after her. Thought it was my mission, my purpose to keep her safe, to protect her, to fill in for the father that had been absent, even when in sight. I was a lifeguard then, both in fact and fantasy. And when, in the quiet hours, we retreated from the confusion of the world to that temporarily empty pool, I was free to imagine I was a man, steady, strong, and needed. How could I not have seen it then? How could I have looked and listened, found myself lost in her world and not have known? No, this is not a journey of self-discovery. This is a journey of self-recovery. Because so much of myself is still tied to those moments and those times, and though I have walked so far, so deliberately away from them, I have done so on a length of elastic, and it would take so little to send me hurtling back. In a single life, there are tens of thousands of days. That's something else that Evelyn taught me. 28,452 and a third, on average, all adding up to the sum of an existence. And yet, so many are lost, so many individual hours and minutes simply vanish into the dark, dusty corners of our memories, never to be relived. Others remain with us, with perfect clarity, as if their events occurred mere minutes before. This day, that day, was just like any other we'd shared. Part of the whole, but nothing special. Nothing marking it down as important, as red letter. Evelyn was talking, leaping from marvel to marvel, reveling in each discovery she made, and aching to share them all with me. "Did you know that every Labrador dreams of bananas?" she said, and I laughed, as I always did. And then she was quiet, watching me, weighing up the consequences of a decision I was blindly unaware needed to be made. When she spoke again, it was those words. The words we're told we all long to hear, yet which occasion far more panic than they are ever given credit for. And I found myself talking too quickly, as though I were tearing a plaster from my skin, talking about our friendship, about the things I didn't want to spoil, all the things I didn't want to change. Every word of it a lie. Because the truth, the real truth, remained lodged at the back of my throat. I was afraid. And for all the protestations, that was the moment when everything changed, when everything was spoiled. The moment after which nothing was ever the same. The worst phrase in the world, the most meaningless, painful, pointless phrase in the world, is the opposite of the one that you'd expect. It's not the rash words of hate or spite, the ill-judged lashing out, but instead, its knee-jerk rejoinder. I take it back. Because you can't take it back. You can't take anything back. Once you've crossed the line where courage has been found and longing has been given voice, and then, for whatever reason, rejected, then there is no return. So it was for Evelyn and me. In an instant, the freedom, the innocence, and the joy of our friendship fell apart, buckling under the weight of her heart and my head at war. I tried to pretend, and she tried harder, but it was too late. The adult world of regret and heartbreak had claimed us, and there was no way back. At least, no way back that our inexperience would allow us to articulate. Perhaps we could have found a way to adapt, had we known more. Had we yet the scars to guide us? But this was the first hurt, that raw and savage wound from which there is no protection. We looked at each other now through different eyes, and in their own way, both sets of those eyes were blurred with unaccustomed tears.
It's often said that age, for all its more obvious importunities, brings wisdom in its wake. And while this may be true to a degree, it is not the compensation it pretends to be. You live, you learn. That's the aphorism. But what do you learn? What great mysteries do you unravel? I have learned one thing that matters. There is so little time. We are so afraid of things ending, or at least that's what we say. In truth, however, it is not endings that we fear, but rather the absence of new beginnings. Or worse, beginnings to which we are no longer invited, beginnings whose startling electrical charge will pass us by. I've had many beginnings since Evelyn and I parted ways. I have loved and accepted love. I have lived and created life. I have learned to identify the subtle differences between loss and transition. And I have grown old, running through my allotted quota of beginnings with what, in hindsight, seems like reckless alacrity. And yet, Evelyn, the friend I should have loved, with her eyes as open as her heart, has never left me. Somewhere out there, in the real world, a woman with her name and her face has also grown old, had new beginnings, loved again and been loved, offered her beautiful words and her beautiful chances to other, more receptive hearts. And I'm jealous. But as I have said, I know now how rare and scarce time is, and how immutable is that which has passed, which I now consider a blessing, for it means that the following will always remain true. My name is Peter. Growing up, I met a girl called Evelyn, and the years we spent as friends were the best years of my life.